welcome to Lilo and Stitch, and today we're going to be covering the basics of crochet, or as I like to call it, the struggles that never the struggles that never end. But anyway, we're going to be covering the basics of crochet that I struggled with starting out with the crochet a year ago, and let's see how far I've gotten with the basic knowledge that I have, or the basic knowledge that these terminologies have given to me. Let's get to it.
So starting off your project, we're going to start with the slip knot, and this is basically how you would normally start your project. You start by wrapping your yarn over your two fingers, and then you take your hook, put it underneath the first, and then yarn over, pull the second piece, and then you'll have a knot. And then from that knot, you continue with pulling your working yarn over. We use slip knots usually to start panels. And then the second way to start a project is called a magic ring. So for the magic ring, it's a bit different to tie it. So you start by looping your yarn, and then in that loop, you insert your hook and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through, and you have your magic ring. And then we continue with our foundation of the project, which is also known as the chain. So for chaining, you yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through, and you continue doing the yarn over and pulling through to create a line of foundation chains to put in your stitch. And then we're officially moving to our foundation stitches, and we're going to start with the single crochet. So for the single crochet, what you need to do is add an extra chain to this chain count, and then you're gonna use the second chain, and then you insert, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through, and that's your single crochet. So you essentially repeat this throughout the stitches for your foundation. And just to go over that again, so you insert your hook, pull through, yarn over, and pull through two. Let's pull through those two loops. And then our second stitch is called the half double crochet, which also you chain 2 for it, and then you use the third chain, right? So you use the third chain, and then you yarn over, insert your hook, pull through, and then pull through 3, or pull through all of your chains, right? Then again, yarn over, insert your hook, pull through, and then pull through 3, and that's your half double crochet. And then we're moving on to our third stitch, the double crochet. So the double crochet is similar to the half double crochet. So also you yarn over, and then you go through your third chain from your hook, and then you insert, you yarn over, you pull through, and then the difference here is you pull through 2 the first time, and then you pull through 2 the second time. So a double crochet is you yarn over, you insert your hook in your chain, and then you pull through, and then you pull through 2, and then you pull through another 2. So here we go. Yarn over, insert, pull through, and then you yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we have our last foundation stitch called the triple crochet, or the triple crochet. And then with the triple crochet, you chain 3 from your foundation chain, your last chain. And then you double yarn over. So what you do is yarn over once, yarn over twice, and then you insert your hook, and then you pull through, yarn over to start, and then pull through 2, pull through 2, and then pull through the last 2. So essentially what you're doing here is repeating the double crochet but pulling through 2 3 times, right? And then you start over and repeat the same process. And then basically these 4 stitches create the body of your project. So we've essentially covered the stitches. Now it's time for a slip stitch. So this is used to close off a chain if you want to create a band, right, instead of a panel. So you use this to close off your chain. And then it's basically inserting your hook in the last stitch and then pulling through that stitch and then also pulling through the last stitch that your hook was in, just like that. And that is your slip stitch. And then the second one is another slip stitch that we use to block off stitches. So you use these 2 stitches to basically close off or block off. And then we're going to move on to our common actions or techniques. So you've heard me use yarn over. So basically what yarn over is to carry the yarn over your hook. So you do that by yarning over, and that's basically what yarning over is. And then another common action is to basically insert, right? So we insert and then we yarn over and then yarn over again and pull through. So pull through and yarn over. And then the second one, the second common action is to increase. So we use increase to increase the stitch count in a row. So if I started off with 10 stitches in a row, I'm gonna add two stitches in one stitch to create 20 more rows. 20 more stitches in the next row. So that's our increase. It's basically 2 stitches in one chain or one stitch. And then using everything that we've learned or seen in this segment of the video or the previous segment of the video, we're gonna start our pattern. So I've already started my foundation chain by inserting single crochets into every chain. So what I've done, you'd see here, is I've used the bottom of the chain. So instead of using the left side of the chain, I've used the center, the bottom center of the chain. So what that does is create a uniform foundation. So you will see here that it's the same when you look in the bottom and it's the same when you look at the top. So that's how I like to start my chain, my foundation chain, and that's a skill that I learned later on. So I'm just giving you guys the option to clean your crochet, right? And then after that, once we've reached the end, we're gonna chain one, and then turn our work and then do our second row. I'll catch you at the end. And then once I'm at the end again, since we are increasing or changing our stitch, we're gonna do the last stitch, right? And then we're gonna chain 2, since it's a half double crochet, or it would have been a half double crochet, but since we're doing a double crochet, we're gonna chain 2 and turn our work. And then in our first stitch before the chains, right there, you see there, that's where we're gonna insert our hook after yarning over, because this is a double crochet. So we insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through another 2, and that's basically our double crochet. So I'm gonna catch you at the end of this row. So to show you the difference between the different stitches, you can see that the 2 rows of single crochet are the equivalent size of the row of double crochet. And then now we're at the end again, we're going to do our last stitch and then chain 2 because we're still doing the double crochet. So we're going to chain 2 and then turn our work, and then in that first stitch again before the 2 chains, we're going to insert our hook right there, insert our hook, pull through, yarn over 2 and chain 2, right, and then pull through 2, and then now we're at the end of our row with the double crochet. So this is the last row of the double crochet. So we're gonna do our stitch and then we're gonna chain 3, right? We're chaining 3 because we're moving to the triple crochet, and then we turn our work and then we yarn over twice, right? Then we insert our hook, pull through 2, pull through 2 again, and then pull through 2 again. So remember, this is the triple crochet, so we pulling through 2 3 times. Then I'll catch you at the end of this row. Then we're at the end of this row, and then we're going to be doing our last stitch in this row. Same goes, yarn over twice, insert your hook, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then pull through your last 2, right? And then we're going to chain 3 and turn our work and into our first stitch again, pull through and over, chain 2 and over, pull through 2, then yarn over, pull through 2. And then essentially after we've done all those stitches, this is what we have. And then you can just yarn over and then cut your yarn and then pull your yarn to create a knot. So that's locking in your work and securing your work.
Welcome back. So by now you should have something similar to this at the end of every stitch that you have done. So this would be the double single crochet. I forgot to put on the half crochet here, but you know, you'll figure it out. And then it's the double crochet here, you see it, and this too is the triple or triple crochet. So you can either decide to continue with this mix matching where you're doing the same amount of stitches but with different designs, so you can also create this different pattern, right? And then if you want to do a major project with just, let's say, single crochet, you can start your work with this origami bag, which originally was just a rectangular box of double crochets, and then I sewed it together to basically make this origami bag. And then obviously you can either, these are from another bag that I had, and then you know, this is another double crochet just to make the handle. And then if you can see properly here, that's a single crochet. So just different stitches, 2 stitches, and they make this amazing bag, or the simple bag, if you may. But yeah, you can also make other designs as well. So you'll just play with it, figure it out, and see where it lands you. When you finish with that, you can basically do any design that you can tackle, as long as you understand the terminology and you understand what type of stitch is needed for that type of row, for that designated row, and you'll just figure it out. Or if you can't, come back and show me. I promise I'll come back and teach you something. Anyway, don't forget to follow us, or me. Don't forget to follow me on all my socials. The Lilo and Stitch socials on Instagram, TikTok, and don't forget to subscribe. Please subscribe. I need it. Please subscribe. I need it to buy yarn. Please, I need the wool. Bye, guys.